Welcome to Talk Around Riyadh, the Wheel of Time showcast. I am your host, Joe Perry, here with my returning co-host and much, much better Jen Isgro, and also Tom Kokoza. How you doing tonight, Jen? How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm much better than I was last week, but I did get my husband sick, so he has been ill more seriously than me for the past 3 days, so that sucks.
Wow.
But I've
I
also...
thought you were saying that's a win-win.
No, it's not a win-win. I'll tell you why. Because I've also had a lot of ants in my house over the past week.
Oh, I should show you a video of the ants that were in my driveway.
I don't think I want to see it, but they're carpenter ants, and they're huge. And yeah, the exterminator came today, and I think he might have nipped it in the bud. But it was...
This is the second time you've had an insect issue in the house, huh?
Well, so I forgot about the other one, and my daughter brought it up. Olive brought it up today, and she was like, remember when we had to tape the door? And I was like, oh my God, we had bees. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I was thinking of the termites. No. You had to do
termites.
Oh, termites was years ago. That was years ago. Remember last year there was like yellow jackets getting in my house? I forgot about that. So now in retrospect, the ants are not as bad as
they're the best of the three things.
But the ants can also eat
the ants are eating
stuff.
Yeah, they're carpenter ants, right? Yeah, they're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been smashing ants all week.
You just need to have every year you need an exterminator just to come, even if you don't see.
I know. Well, now this guy was really nice, so maybe he'll come every month and spray. I don't know, just spray my entire house.
Nah, not every month. It's probably too much.
Yeah,
we got the Terminex things. We had termites in the backyard, like in an old stump, and we were afraid of them coming in, so we got them all around. But that stuff like repels a bunch of different bugs, including I think carpenter.
Yeah, this guy sprayed the shit out of like my front door. He thinks it's like because I had a leak in the shower that they're like gathering around moisture or something. I don't know, but he was spraying for like 10 minutes, so I don't think I'm gonna be seeing very many ants anymore. I picked up a couple of dead ones already. So
did he look like John Goodman?
No, he didn't look like John Goodman.
How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, so it's me.
Any bugs in your house?
No, we're pretty bug free, which I always find amazing because my children are two of the messiest humans in regards to eating that I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, I liked how you did the introduction because it really sounded like, which I agree with, that your better co-host is returned in Jen, and there's also the other co-host, and he's here too. So thanks, Joe.
Sorry, that's not how I intended it, but it's true.
It's accurate.
I wanted to take it that way too.
You said it, Tom, not me.
That's true.
Let the record state. So it's good to have you back, Jen, because we did miss you because we did those audition scripts.
I know. I was hemming and hawing all day about whether I was going to be able to do it, and I just didn't have the energy. But I'm sad that I had to miss last week.
If you want, you can do your renditions of them, send me the audio, and I'll just edit them into the podcast.
I think you're going to let me do it again this week.
No.
Oh, no, that's all right. It's okay.
We'll just put it
There'll be other audition scripts. There'll be other times. It'll be fun.
Well, we do have a little bit of news to talk about today. Nothing earth-shattering. It was something that we weren't expecting, and it wasn't like a Watt series piece. This was actually from Deadline, so Amazon or Prime Video or the Prime Experience, whatever they're calling it, because this is like Deadline Studio Prime Experience for your consideration. So that's kind of like when the studios kind of, what is it like? I guess put their shows out there for award nominations. They do like screenings and do like interviews and things like that. It's like a whole event. So they did one for the Wheel of Time. I don't know when it happened, this week or earlier or last week. And there was a quote here that Deadline posted in this little short kind of blurb teaser. Not even I wouldn't even call it a full article. Why does it do this? Its stupid pop-up is right in front of the article. It keeps pushing it over. That's so weird. Okay. So Rafe said, and I quote, "The first 15 minutes of season 3 is one of the most bonkers set pieces I've ever seen on television. I was just watching it this week, and it's absolutely bananas what our team pulled off. Just a bunch of women, bananas bunch, get it? Just a bunch of women in their 40s and 50s shredding each other. and it is wonderful to behold. So, first 15 minutes of season 3.
Wow.
It's pretty bold to say there. One of the most bonkers set pieces I've ever seen on television.
40s and 50s.
Bunch of women in the
shredding
40s.
each other. So it's probably Aes Sedai, but why is it bonkers?
So I'm pretty sure you put this together with something he said in an interview soon after season 2 was finished, where someone asked what was Leandrin up to, and he said you'll find out right away in season 3. I'm pretty sure this is the Black Aja stealing shit and leaving, and like instead of sneaking out under the cover of night, like fucking shit up as they pummel out the door.
So what do you think that he means by shredding each other? Just like killing each other?
Yeah, I think it's going to be
I thought he meant like insulting each other. I didn't know exactly what I feel like it's an odd word for him to use.
I think he
was shredding each other to mean like verbally, not physically.
No, that's not a bonkers set piece. A bonkers set piece is 40 and 50-year-old women having a giant magic battle.
That's true. He said bananas what our team pulled off. So it's got to be something visually spectacular.
Yeah. And I think he means literally shredding each other, like putting lines of gore into each other.
But
ripping each other to shreds.
So you think it's going to be... So wait a second. Do you think this is the coup or... Because...
No, I don't.
Because...
Sorry, I cut you off before you even asked your question, Joe. I apologize.
I asked the question.
I don't, because of the audition scripts we write.
Yeah, we can't. They can't be a coup until we meet Elida, and that's not going to be part of this probably.
Right.
So there's going to be a big spectacular showdown between the Black Aja and the Tower Sisters, and we're going to see like a lot of gore and death.
And none of the ones that we know are there. If this is like happening during the end of season 2, so it's like all Black Aja, and then like a bunch of randos that we don't know who are still in the tower. Not including Shiriam, because she's not in the season. But everybody else we know, right, is not there.
Why wouldn't Swan and them be back by now?
Because she wasn't there, and Tom just said, somebody asked her, what's Leandrin doing? And he said, you'll find out. So maybe this is like the cold open of the season is, hey, they left Kyrian while everybody was busy and said, we're going to make our move now. Let's go. When nobody's in the tower or all the most powerful people are gone,
right?
We'll scoot back over there and take all the shit and get out. And that's like the cold open because it's a pass.
Okay, so you're saying they're going to do it before they get back because it's easier. Like we talked about that, I think earlier, that what happens if they overthrow Swan while she's in Kyrian, as something potentially that could happen because Logain's there already, and Min's there, but now we've got Min back at the tower though. In the in that audition script last week, it was Elida and Min presumably at the White Tower. Would Min go back to the White Tower by herself after the coup happens?
Does Swan know Min because Moraine knows Min?
We don't know.
Like they've never spoken or interacted on the show, but would Swan know of Min or know her or recognize her?
She
might just scoop her up. I don't know.
She does in the books, right?
Yeah, So whatever. That wouldn't bother me if Swan was like, "Oh, you're that girl that I know because Moraine knows you. I know who you are, and you're coming with us now." So that wouldn't that wouldn't bother me.
I could see them doing the Black Aja, just kind of leaving the tower and.
Or she goes back with Leandrin and Leandrin just leaves her there. So I don't need you anymore. Like, goodbye. I don't know. Either one of those would.
And that fits in. If that's the kickoff of the beginning of the episode titled "To Race the Shadow," and it starts off with the Shadow having a huge win, stealing a bunch of Terangriel and decimating Aes Sedai.
Before you knew they were doing it.
Yeah, like where'd they go? And then that's like, if that's an inciting incident for season 3, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a lot of people dying. It could just be a lot of power, one power spectacle, and shredding, cutting weaves and blocking weaves and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be they pull out guitars and just
Ready.
shred, baby.
Oh, Tom. Maybe that's a reference to Tom being there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they could kill people because if it's nobody we know and they're just like stunt women,
They're all
then,
playing
like,
Guitar Hero.
does it really care? We don't really care if they die or not. I mean, it would be sad for the show, but not for us personally. Just throwing. Oh, you think it might happen?
Someone's getting
My
pushed
fa- my
off.
Oh,
favorite.
your dream?
Oh, my
That's-
dream.
I
That's
thought
someone
we
getting thrown off the tower.
I thought
No, we have to
established
save it. We have to save it.
That will happen during the coup.
Yeah, we need to save it. You're right.
Or spoiler alert, when the
At the
Sean
end,
Chen,
yeah.
with the Sean.
Well, the Sean shit, that's where they're landing that thing. I
Yeah.
feel like that they're raking it coming right up there.
I think it's Sean Chen's getting pushed off that. Or Warder in the tower coup. Hammer, but we don't even know him.
I want to hear a Wilhelm scream as the person goes off too.
Maybe the what do we call him? Who's the warder that like kind of checks out Nynaeve in last season?
Oh,
Thirst Warder or something?
Thirsty Warder.
Thirsty
Thirsty
Warder.
Warder in training.
Thirsty Warder in training. Maybe he gets kicked off the tower.
Man, that guy's the best. He better stick around.
So let's get to the other part of this too. Rafe said he was just watching it this week. So
Mhm.
like they've got footage together that's been edited, or is he
Yeah,
talking
well,
about watching just like raw footage? It sounds
Doesn't
like he's
necessarily
watching it
have to be
almost
finished.
I would
but-
think if he was saying it was bonkers and there's one power involved, that it would be or close to finished.
Yeah, I mean, they've had presumably if they didn't film this season chronologically. We know that because right they filmed it by location, but presumably they've had a lot of time to work on this, and SFX shots are done, piece by piece, so they could be working on or have completed episode 1's VFX shots by now, or just the sequence, especially if it's a huge one power sequence. I imagine, I think I think I get what you're hinting at, but there have been multiple articles this past week that have referenced that the show is coming out in 2025, the next season.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying otherwise, but maybe it's earlier in 2025 than you may be thinking.
I hope so. I hope so.
I'd like to see that footage, Rafe. Can we get a little glimpse? Teaser?
Well, yeah, that's the thing for me, is that gives me hope that like we could see some sort of like season 3 is coming, like, a hype season, teaser trailer thing like we got for season 2, like significantly in advance of it, that has a bunch of shit that will drive us nuts.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see that wheel from far away and try and figure out what the heck it is. Right?
Teller and Riyadh. That's what we know, right? That's always.
We were right there. We were right.
We were right. I think that was pretty clear that was going to be Teller and Riyadh.
Nah.
There was some other video. I know you, Tom and Jen, you guys wanted to talk about. There was some other stuff that was part of this that was released, some video footage.
Yeah. There was the interview with Rafe, Rosamund, Daniel Henney, and Sharon Gillam and Davina, the makeup artist. So it's probably about like 10, 12 minutes of an interview. But yeah, the thing he said about it being bonkers is from that. Rosamund talked a little bit about the scene on the beach with Maureen and Lan, and about their struggles throughout season 2. Mm-hmm. And then she talked about how the set piece on the way the water went around that sandbar was like, it happens like so rare, and it might happen for like 2 days a year or something. And they took Rafe was like, no, we're going to do it. We'll take a chance that it happens. And then like it happened, but other people were there because they wanted to see it too. And there was like, they were talking about how they put the waygate up and they drilled the waygate like down deep into the sand. So it was like really like a huge structure. It was really there. And there were like kite surfers that were out there, and they wanted to like surf through the waygate. So they kept like getting in the background of their shots because they were just like out there in the water, like surfing through the waygate on their, so that was funny. And then, yeah, like, I mean, Sharon talked about how great it is to be a costume artist because there's so much inspiration from the books and the way that a lot of the different nations in Wheel of Time are like a mixture of 2 of our nations. So and then Rafe also said like go nuts, like on top of that, like bring in whatever you want. So there was that, and it's pretty interesting if you get a chance to watch it. It's a short interview, but it's nice to hear them talk. And then at the end, did you want to say the thing that she says at the end, Tom?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. But I think she says something at the end, and Rafe makes reference to this throughout as well. Like basically, like, hey, not only is season 3 going to continue this trend of getting bigger and crazier and more ambitious, but like that's going to continue as seasons progress. And again, here's just another sign that they're planning for season 4 now, and they're already kind of thinking about what that's going to entail. And I think that is to me, especially in a situation like this, where this is a studio produced event, right? For them to kind of put that message out there is an encouraging sign for me that we might get a season 4 renewal announcement at some point before season 3 drops.
Yeah, I mean, they were writing right for season 2 before it got, well, at least before it was announced that it was renewed, right?
Season 2, I don't remember because I don't recall, because season 2 was announced really before the show. Season 1 was aired. They announced season 2.
It was like a month or two after it was finished filming.
They were writing and scouting for season 3 last summer.
Yeah, season 3, they definitely were working on season 3 before a season 3 renewal announcement was made. Like,
that's what it was. Okay.
Definitively, like they had writers meetings, they were doing locations, they were just planning as if it was. And I think that you definitely get a sense, like, even if there's nothing an official announcement, like you're going to know whether you're going to go forward or not. But I think that they really are continuing the message of like, we're going to do this whole series. That is the expectation, right? And again, I think that season 2 creatively and the way it was executed was such a step up after season 1. Like, they should feel like, hey, we nailed it, and wait until you see what's coming next. So
yeah, I think her exact words were, "We're not stopping." I know she was talking about like, we're not stopping, like we're gonna go farther and farther, and she probably like is hinting at season 3 stuff. But I liked her saying we're not stopping, because to me it was like, okay, like they have no, it's not like we're done now, we did season 3, we're done. Like, right, they still having thoughts about what's happening in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's good, and that's warm, and makes me feel all cozy and good inside.
Man, welcome on to our 50s. Let's do it, baby.
It's definitely happening.
I think that's probably going to happen at this rate.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. Wow, that's weird. Don't say 50s. Anyway,
it's a long way off.
Not really.
Not that long. It's not that long.
Well, it's pretty long.
No, not at all. You keep telling yourself that, Tom.
I'm closer to 40 than I am to 50.
Barely. Anyway, shall we just move on and talk about our geographic location of the month?
Actually, there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. I didn't tell you guys before, and I was surfing Twitter just a little while ago, and I think Taviran Tavern mentioned this, and I apologize if it wasn't him, but Lauren Balfe was on Twitter posting that they were working on he was working on a soundtrack for something, and I think it was Taviran Tavern asked, was like, Wheel of Time season 3 next, and he goes, next week. So it was just a confirmation that Lauren Balfe is going to continue to do the soundtrack for season 3 of the Wheel of Time. And
well, I think
it's pretty cool.
Him working on the soundtrack is even more telling, because music is the last thing they do usually. Like, that's one of the last things.
The like putting it together. But he's going to start work on it next week. It's not finished.
Yeah, he could write songs without like.
Yeah,
if he's not doing the score of the
literally. I think it was
he's
like
working on songs. Yeah, he's going to start working.
Yeah, he's going to start next week. Like, it's like so. But I think that
he's not scoring. Yes, that is basically like
maybe
what you're
not
saying.
Yet. Yeah.
It's going to write some themes up and some modifications to the current themes, maybe. But if they're doing another album, or how many, they released a bunch of albums for season 2. He's probably going to write a bunch of songs.
Yeah, I mean, he's great, and the music for the show has been terrific. And I was just very happy to get the confirmation that he was going to continue to be doing that.
Yeah, I do really like what he's done with the music for the show.
Mhm.
I think it's so unique and not your traditional fantasy music that like you're tired of, and yeah, it's just really cool.
Yeah, it has no. It sounds nothing like what I anticipated it to sound like, and it sounds great. So
yeah, we got lucky there.
Yep.
Sorry, whatever your name was, who was the first guy who was gonna do the music. I don't know if you remember.
I'm sure. I'm sure it would have been good too. I'm
sure you would have been great. It's funny because I don't even remember who it was, and Lauren Balf's done so many other things like in between Wheel of Time, like movies and stuff, and won awards for movies, and so I think we got really lucky there. So anyway, we're going to be talking, doing one of our, as Tom likes to call them, patented deep dives this week into one of our featured locations in season 3, or at least we're pretty sure it's going to be a featured location in season 3 and a new location for the TV show, and a new location in the books. And we're going to be talking about Tarabon and, of course, the city, its capital city, Tanchico. So I'll start off with a little bit of geography and history, the good stuff that everyone really lives for. So if you ever look at the map, Tarabon is located in the southwest coast of the Westlands along the Arath Ocean. It's right below Falm and Toman Head over there, and the Almouth Plain up there to the north, and it's got Amadisia to the east. And I always forget about this, but I always had just thought that the whole west and most of the southern coast is Tarabon, but there's not, right? Tarabon kind of ends, and there's this area called the Shadow Coast in between that and the water, which I don't even, do they ever go to in the books? Do we ever go to the Shadow Coast?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I got to see where exactly you're talking about. Oh, like
I
down.
pull the map down.
Yeah, you can pull the map down if you want to get a good visual of that.
Oh, it's right here, the Shadow Coast.
Yeah, it's right below Tarabon. I was always thinking that it bordered the water all down there, but it doesn't, because Tarabon technically ends and the Shadow Coast begins. It's just like an uninhabitable area that nobody really goes to, and all of the shoreline is like cliffy and rocky, and there's boats steer clear of it because there's that underwater peninsula.
Windbiter's Finger.
Yeah.
I don't think we even go here.
There you go.
Via in the sea. I think
they might mention
you see Tremalking, and that's it.
I wonder when they go to Tanchico from the White Tower, if they talk about it, like the sea folk might mention it, or they might mention that they're passing it or something.
Yeah, maybe.
They're really close to Tanchico, though.
Yes, it's be a much quicker journey.
Yeah,
if they go straight to Tanchico,
like here to here.
Yeah, it's like the penis to the taint.
It is. This is really, really. I feel weird.
It's very penisy. Yes,
it looks like a finger, kind of, but
sure it does.
Yeah. Anyway, the city of Tanchico, which is the capital of Tarabon, it's located all the way in the western part at the mouth of the river Andahar. So that's basically the short area of where it actually touches the coast, Tarabon, past the Shadow Coast. So just a little bit of history about Tarabon. In free year 1006, 3 nobles who were part of Arthur Hawkwing's government took the city of Tanchico and formed the nation of Tarabon. So of these 3 people, one eventually was murdered, one of them became king, and the other became the Panarch, which eventually led to the current tradition of a male king and a female Panarch, because that first Panarch was a female. So that's something that's been going on since right after Arthur Hawkwing's time. Interesting little thing there. And then this too, I didn't really even remember this part, but one of the more recent kings of Tarabon was a male channeler, and Cadsuane captured him and brought him to the tower to be gentled. And I think, was that like the last thing she did before she went into like retirement or seclusion?
Perhaps I got to look that up. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I think it might be one of the last things she did. So as I mentioned before, Tarabon is ruled by a king and a panarch. They're always of the opposite sex. The kingship is hereditary, while the panarch is elected by the Assembly of Lords, which is the only real power that the Assembly of Lords has. It's just to elect a panarch. So that's an interesting government they have there. It's almost like, go ahead, Jen.
Say it's like England, kind of.
Yeah, but in here they have the king actually has power, or more power than the king of England does at this point. Yeah, technically they're both equal in power. The panarch is responsible for collecting taxes and customs and duties, although the king is responsible for spending the money. The panarch also oversees the Civil Watch and the Panarch's Legion. The king gets the rest of the armies, and then the panarch is also the head of all the courts except for the High Court, which the king is in charge of. So they have a nice division of powers there. And the people are called Taraboners or Taraboners.
Taraboners.
Not according to my wife, and I love my wife. So it's always Taraboners for me.
I've heard other people say Taraboners as well, so...
But it's not Tarabon.
Maybe it is, and we're just pronouncing it all wrong.
We'll find out, I guess.
But there's a lot of nationality type things where you pronounce it differently when you say, I don't know, I'm trying to think.
Like
France and French?
Tyrants.
Yeah, France and French.
Oh, but yeah, in the books, Tyr and Tyrants is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's spelled totally different too.
Yeah.
So, although Tarabon and Taraboners is not much different, they just add ERS at the end. Tyr and Terrans is spelled.
It's a magic E that turns the sound to an O from an A.
It does. If you go by the normal English rules of language, right? If you have a vowel, a consonant, and then the letter E, it makes the vowel a long vowel.
You're right. Fine. It's Taraboners.
It's always Taraboners.
Okay, I have a question about this because the people in Tanchico are called Tanchicans, by the way. So, right, I guess they don't consider themselves Taraboners or Taraboners.
I think they should be Tanchicos and Tanchicas. That's just me, though. I just like that better.
Oh my gosh, I'm just picturing Razor Ramon as every guy and listen, Chico.
Now, if we don't get a scene of Tom saying, "Are you a Tanchican or a Tanchicant?" We riot.
Oh my gosh. We've just unlocked a secret level of this show that we didn't know. Oh man.
Are you a Tanchican or a Tanchican?
Tanchican.
I can't even say it. Tanchicas and Tanchico.
Oh my gosh.
So
well done, Jen. Sorry.
I didn't even remember that was the thing, but do you think they're going to use either of these in the show? Taraboners or Tanchicans? Do you think they said, what's the over-under of them saying the word Tanchican?
I mean, you could describe something as Tanchican.
But
yeah. They're definitely going to say Taraboners. They're going to say Bonners on the show. They're not going to say Taraboners.
They're going to say the people of Tarabon. That's what they're going to say.
Is Tarabon even going to be a thing? Are they just going to say we're going to Tanchico and never even mention that there's a greater country called Tarabon?
Tanchico. Well, yeah, they just said Falm, right? They never said what country Falm was in.
Do they say Toman Head ever?
Well,
they say Toman Head.
Falm's not in a country.
Falm. It's not.
Okay.
It's on Toman Head and the Alma Plain, which isn't owned by any. Right? They fight over Aradoman and Tarabon
and Tarabon
fight over.
Yeah.
And Kyrian is in the country of Kyrian, so that doesn't help us.
Yeah. Well, we're going to Camelin this season. It seems like so we might get Camelin. I think we'll get Camelin. As I was doing my research for this, I was really debating whether they're going to even have the country or call the country Tarabon. And then I was like, well, what are they going to call them? Taraboners or Tanchicans? Because I didn't remember that Tanchicans was a thing. So
me either. I that they might just drop, and I think that I think you just say it's the country of Tarabon and the capital city of Tanchico, and that works because that's what people
Yeah.
It's not like something weird. That's what most places have.
Well, here's my thing and my thought around this. So, right, there's a lot of places and names in the Wheel of Time. You know, some might say thousands
Too
of
many?
named.
Oh.
Yeah. So to simplify things for people and viewers, right? Because when you watch these fantasy type shows, it's a little hard to follow sometimes with the unconventional names, and they're using names for unfamiliar things. My thought is that they just forget about, like, they don't even mention Tarabon as a country. They're going to be in Tanchico, so they're going to say Tanchico, and they won't even really reference Tarabon or Tarabon. Because if you focus on Tanchico and then call them Taraboners, people are going to get confused a little bit, or it's just one more thing that people have to kind of remember and figure out. I think they just stick with Tanchico, focus on Tanchico, and call them Tanchicans or Tanchicos and Tanchicas. I like that even better, Jen.
I hope.
It's my 2 cents. Anyway, those Taraboners, not uncommon to have light hair and dark eyes. As one of we've already met 2 Taraboners, right? Or 3 technically, right? In the show.
Yeah.
We've got Leandrin, probably our most famous Taraboner.
The Bornholds.
And the Bornholds. Although I think they have light eyes, to be honest with you, in the show. But anyway, the women wear thin, clingy gowns, and they usually have their hair in many braids with beads, small, like thin braids. We saw Leandrin have some braids, but they were a little bit more thicker and more kind of
ornate.
Yeah, ornate designs, where I always pictured kind of the Tanchicans with more traditional type braids, like when you go to the Caribbean and get your hair braided and they put beads in it.
Yeah. She may have been away from there for a while, so maybe she's changing her hair.
Yeah.
Adjusting her hair a little bit.
I'd be interested to see the costumes for Tanchico. I'm kind of really interested to see what they make the people look like, right? Because we think South Africa was part of the Tanchico set, or potentially some of the Tanchico set, maybe the outdoor shots. Men wear baggy pants and coats with embroidery and loose-fitting shirts, and they have thick mustaches, and they wear those conical caps on their head that Julian Sandar seems to fancy.
A fez, if you will.
A fez, yes. And they all wear transparent veils. This is interesting, thinking about whether they're going to have people wearing veils in the show. I'm going to say yes. Not everybody, but
I think we'll see veils in like the marketplace or something.
There will be veils.
I don't know if our main characters would be wearing veils.
You don't think that we're going to get them trying to blend in and dress in the local attire and style?
They will, but I don't know if that's going to be like a thing where everybody has to wear veils. Could just be like a little smattering of veils, potentially. I don't know. I just don't think you cover your main characters' faces with veils for any particular amount of time.
Veils.
They are.
I hear you, Jen.
So like a wedding type veil, right? Like a wedding, like something like that where you can see.
No,
through.
It goes over them.
But they're transparent.
Yeah, it's like an I Dream of Jeannie
it's
kind of.
It's transparent, but it's still going to be hard for people to talk and be understood with veils over their faces.
Yeah, it might. Someone put it in chat. I missed who that it might be like an outside thing. It's like when they're inside and they're having conversations, they're not veiled, but like when they're walking around, I think that might be interesting. We've talked about this before, but one of the best jokes in that book, right, is the fact that Elaine keeps complaining that the veil gets stuck in her mouth, and like no one else has that problem, and it's, I don't know if it's a subtle joke, but like you have to be paying attention. Is the fact that like Elaine's looking down her nose at everybody, literally, because she's so high and mighty that the veil's getting stuck in her mouth.
She's stuck up.
Yeah, and like
got her nose up in the air and everything.
And like that's a really funny joke when you get it in the books, but I don't know if it'll be funny if that just happens in the show.
Yeah.
No, like, because they haven't established that as like a character trait of hers at all.
Not only that, but like I think that's like too slapsticky. If it's in your face, it's slapsticky. Like it's like you have to realize what's happening, why that's happening to her, reading it without anybody telling you, and that's why it's funny, I think, in the books.
Yeah.
But if she's just doing that and constantly spitting, you're like, idiot, just look straight ahead of people.
what if they could do a joke, right? So we haven't gotten an interaction yet between Matt and Elaine. So they're going to be, if they're going to be in Tanchico together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matt, there could be some great play off the two of them, like Matt thinking she's a really stuck up, noble, like woman, right? Because Matt's poor and she's rich and she's had everything given to, she's lived a wealthy life, and Matt's, grown up with a pretty shitty life. So I could see the two of them playing off each other as they do in the books, right? Where he thinks she's kind of stuck up and whatnot, and just have them get into a little argument. And then he said, him calling her stuck up or whatever. And then she whatever, turns her head and she's got the veil and it gets stuck in her mouth or whatever. Like, she's like, no, I'm not. And spits out the veil.
I like it. Let's do it. Lock it up.
Put it in there, Rafe. Put it in there. Let me text him right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Hashtag reshoot.
Also, did you know that the Guild of Illuminators was founded in Tanchico?
Oh.
Interesting.
Still have an opportunity for Eludra to be in the season and in the show. Maybe they meet her here.
If Matt's gonna be there, that gives him some sort of reason.
Yeah.
There's hope.
There's no hope with dope. Sorry.
Is there hope with Eludra?
I don't think so. No.
Do you think there'll be Illuminators just in the world somewhere, or do you think they're going to cut out the whole canon storyline, like the whole thing?
I feel like the Illuminators and the whole canon storyline really is unique to the Wheel of Time, because it really puts that. I'm not going to say really again.
Really?
What am I trying to say? It differentiates it from other fantasy, and it puts in that aspect of like, hey, this world, it's another one of those things that, hey, this is the world we live in, by the way.
Right.
This is, we're not in some fantasy world. This is the real world, and just at another time.
Tom, are you asking if canons are going to be canon?
Jen.
You should have stopped at Tanchicos and Tanchicos.
I agree, Joe, and I think it's really important. Like, they played a lot in the early seasons about the darkness within Matt Cawthon, right? And the darkness within Matt Cawthon is that's in the books too. Like, there's a lot of like, hey, like, he is basically going to be responsible for a lot of death in the world, right? Through the makings of cannons and artillery and all the rest of that. And like, it's an important, like, I think, like, through line to his character, but that all starts like that whole storyline starts with him getting into the Stone of Tyr and using fireworks to blow a hole in the wall, and that's what puts the seed of the idea in everyone's head that you can use these things as weaponry, which doesn't happen in the show.
I've got it.
Give it to me.
Eludra's in season 3. They have an experience similar to the one they do in Kyriena in the books. He gets his hand on some of the fireworks, uses it to get into the Panarch's palace to go against, for the Black Gaja, that whole scene in there. He goes into the twisted stone door frame, which is in the Panarch's palace.
I'm sorry for laughing.
I can't go an episode without putting this in there.
He blows up the twisted stone door.
No, he doesn't blow it up. He goes into the Panarch's palace.
Lock on it.
The twisted stone door frame is there. He goes to Finland. You don't need Moraine and Rand to go through there, because they'll go through their things in Ruidian and have their own experiences, and they could have similar type things. Any other plot points that need that from Finland for Rand and Moraine could happen in the crystal columns or the glass columns and the the arches that Moraine goes through.
Yeah, I think so. I hope you're right, Joe. It's gonna happen. If you will, it is no dream.
Right? I'm like I'm listening to a coworker of ours who's talking about wishing it and seeing it. Right?
That's right.
The secret, right?
I guess that's the secret. Everybody, that's how we fit the fins in there.
It's reshoot. Gonna happen.
Hashtag reshoot. What's it? Hashtag. So I think there's a good chance that we can get Illuminators. I think even if they're not like an actual character, like we don't meet an Illuminator, but there's a mention of the Illuminators and there's fireworks happening.
Can I ask you, why would they name Leandrin's son Eludrin if they were going to do Eludra?
All right, maybe Eludra's not in it, but there's going to be Illuminators in it, in the show. They're going to mention them at the very least. They'll mention Illuminators and there'll be fireworks. You will see fireworks.
We've already
in season
seen
3.
fireworks. We've already seen them. They were in season 2.
When did we
Yeah,
see
they have fireworks after
After the party.
That's right. Yeah. That was right between the Rand coat change thing we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah,
That was like your tease that there is a chapter house in Cariad and they have fireworks shows there.
Yeah, that
But,
was a little Easter egg for us. So I think we're going to get more fireworks.
Yeah, I know people have a very strong attachment to Eludra, but I don't think that she's a necessary character to adapt.
No,
I think that Matt could just figure out that stuff by himself.
No, he could just,
right?
like we said the other day, he could just meet somebody in the band. They could just.
Yes, could also just be that. But yeah. To make the gunpowder for him. But like,
okay, here, ready? I thought of it. Eludrin is Eludra's father.
There we go.
So
all right.
So Leandrin has a granddaughter.
She might not know. She.
Maybe they don't talk to her because she joined the guild, and she did not. And the guild makes you cut off communication with your family.
Now I want
to. Just said the same thing in chat. I swear to God, I didn't read that before I said it. Eludra is Eludra's dad. The only way it makes sense. There you go.
Lock it up.
I think we need a spin-off series just all about
Hashtag
this.
reshoots.
The Eludrins.
More reshoots. We got a lot of work to do, Rafe. Hold on. Let me just text him again. Okay. Did you all know that Tanchico is one of the oldest cities in the world?
No,
Really?
I did not know that, Joe.
Yeah.
When was it formed?
I don't know. But what I do know,
A long time ago.
There we go. So it's old.
It's before Tarabon was a country.
There was Tanchico, the city.
Yeah, Tanchico, the city. Well, I don't know if it was called Tanchico though. But that's how Tarabon formed. Those three. Remember the 3 lords I talked about before? The 3 nobles took over took the city and then formed the country. But the city itself is made up mainly of 3 peninsulas and a lot of hills and cliffs off of that. And the 3 peninsulas obviously jut out into the Arath Ocean, into the harbor, and they're all named. So there's the Varana, which is the one to the east. There's Maseda, which is in the center, and then there's Calpine or Calpene, which is nearest to the sea. And there's fortresses that surround each peninsula and guard the harbor. And each of the peninsulas has its own like arena or kind of like, venue type place where they do horse racing and they have big illuminator shows, which I didn't remember at all. I don't remember the peninsulas I remember the horse racing.
They basically just talk about that like before they go. Like when they're trying to figure out where they're supposed to go and they're like traveling there in Teleramriad, like they kind of describe the whole city then and talk about like there's just so many different places where anyone could be. Like how do you even start searching for people? But you don't get to really see any of that in the books.
No, they just talk about it, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's just all kind of, hey, we went here and we look there, but I think you only get once or twice, maybe. I'm trying to remember specifically if we get any.
I don't know if you see any horse racing in Tanchico. You see horse racing in Budar,
yeah,
right?
That's
Because
right.
Alvar does the horse racing. But
maybe we're rolling it together.
Tanchico Dar.
Tanchico Dar. Ooh, I like that. So they're Tanchico Darans. Tanchico Darans. Tanchico Dar.
Heard it here first, folks.
How about Ibuchico?
Tanibo.
Man.
Talta? Altarabon?
Altarabons.
Altarabonas. Sorry, people. But the Panarch's Palace, right? We talked about the Panarch earlier. The Panarch's Palace is located on the Varana Peninsula. This is believed to have been built during the Age of Legends. So this is an old structure. It has ancient friezes on it, which depict animals unknown to the locals or the people of that time. They also have skeletons on display inside the palace. It's kind of like almost like a bit of a museum. There are certain areas where the public's allowed to go to in the palace where they have these skeletons on display. There's ancient quote unquote artifacts on display to the public, including Quendayar figures, sculptures, and even Angreal.
And the Mercedes-Benz logo.
Yeah, that's where we see the Mercedes-Benz logo. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about this because this is a cool part of I don't know, it's just a really cool location in the series that I always really loved, the Panox Palace, that it had all these cool things there.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think they're going to really lean into this in the show?
Jen,
wouldn't it be great if they just put a Starbucks cup on a stand there? And it'd be
that would be funny as hell.
It would be like a double
yeah. Game of Thrones did it, but for us it's real. Like yes. I think he'll definitely be in there. There's a lot that happens in the Panox Palace, and it's interesting. So I think they'll put it in.
No, I know they're going to put the palace in, but are they going to lean into like the ancient artifacts and known animals and skeletons?
Probably the animals they will. I don't know if they'll do the Mercedes-Benz thing. That's might be a little too much. But I think they'll do the animals and stuff like that.
If you really want to get across the cosmology of this is our world in some future and past time, whatever. Like this is the opportunity to do it because that gets brought in right away in like the first book when Tom's telling stories of, John Glenn and Neil Armstrong and Mother Teresa and Queen Elizabeth and all the rest of that stuff. But like Sally Ride and Ann Landers.
I guess they could put the thing in, but don't say like I'm getting a sense of like what do they say like
greed and opulence.
Yeah. Like don't put anything like that. But you can like walk past and like see it. I guess that would be okay because you might not even realize like what it is.
The bones, the skeleton that they have there, it's a giraffe, right?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. Is it a giraffe or is it like a dinosaur?
I feel like it's like a horse with like a really long
dinosaur.
neck. It could be a dinosaur really old. Too. Yes. But she describes it looking like a horse, but just a very, very long neck.
Oh, okay, so it's a giraffe.
It could be a dinosaur, but that's like an odd way to describe a dinosaur, I think.
Yeah, that's
probably a giraffe.
Yeah. I hope they lead into this. This is another fun like set piece. This is another chance for them. Like I'm sure the set directors
just go bananas.
And the art department would probably have a blast doing this. I remember for one of the early, it might have been season 1. Remember they had that sculptor do a piece for the. Mm-hmm. I think we still follow her.
Did she do this? Did she do the sculptures like the statues in the White Tower?
She might have. Yeah.
She does a lot of like animal stuff though.
Yeah.
On her Instagram. But I think for the show, she did like the sculptures of the warders and stuff in the White Tower. So she could do, that would be interesting.
That'd be cool if they brought her back to do some, or they borrowed some pieces of art from museums, which I don't think is really what's going to happen, but, or at least maybe the art department recreates some real pieces of art.
A painting of giraffes.
Painting of giraffes. We just see like a Bob Ross painting in there.
Yeah.
They just grab stuff from different, all the David.
Bob Ross never painted giraffes.
No, I don't think so. Not that I recall.
It's like a wintry woods scene and like 2 giraffes in the background.
Happy little giraffes. You got it, Gabe.
Oh, so much fun. So in the books, right, Tanchico's really only featured in the Shadow Rising, and I think we said this before, right, Tom? I think they leave Tanchico in the next book. There's not really much in the next book.
Yeah, they're in Tarabon for a little bit of book 5, but they're not. They're out of Tanchico at the start of it. They're already gone.
Okay.
So
and we don't go back here, I don't think, ever, maybe for a minute. So I guess this is like a one and done set, probably. The story is right. The story in the books is right. The girls go there, right? And Elena and Nynaeve go to Tanchico. Tom and Julian go along. Moraine asked Tom, I think, right, to go. No, Lan asked Tom to go along. No.
Whoa.
Who asked Tom to go along? Is it Maureen or is it Len? Or is it both of them?
Is it Rand too?
I think.
Oh, it's Rand.
Rand.
Rand and Lan? Or am I making that up because that's
One
what
of
I
them
think will
sends
happen on the
Julian,
show?
and the other one sends Tom. I just.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Maureen and Tom. Yeah, I don't remember now. She does talk to him.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why they're there. That's why they are there. That's better. But Elena and Nynaeve go there because the Black Aja are supposedly there, right? They captured the 2 Black Aja on Tyr and they interrogate them and they find out that the other sisters are going to Tanchico because they're looking for something. And
they will help them or hurt Rand.
An Angreal or Tyr Angreal or something to an object of the one power. And that's why they go there.
Mm-hmm.
We get the whole, right, there are white cloaks there in Tanchico, which we know Jacob Carradine has been cast, so we think that story is going to continue to be there because he's the one there. The Black Aja are in the Panarch's palace. That's where they're hiding out, so to speak. And
Are there white cloaks in Tanchico?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
the white cloaks are, at first, the white cloaks have like kind of, I think they've blocked off
they've occupied the palace, right?
Yeah, because the sisters aren't in the palace at the beginning. I think they're in a house, and then they take over the palace. They eventually capture the Panarch.
Mogedion is like a servant.
That's yeah.
No, she's a servant in. She's a servant in the Panarch's palace. Remember, that's
she's a servant in the house that they're staying in.
Yeah, it's like,
and then she just keeps that disguise when she's in the palace.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
but they don't know that she's a servant. So they're like super mean to her.
Is this Millie Skane? His house? Is this where she is? She was like,
it's just a noble.
That's
family,
Udar, right?
Yeah, it's like a noble. Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, then they eventually get in to the palace, and they torture the Panarch.
And basically, Tom and Julian basically start a revolt or a riot. That's the distraction, right? That's the distraction.
The distraction, destroy the city. Yeah.
Yes. Well, they attack the palace, right? And the White Cloaks are in the palace, and then that's when everything kind of goes down there at the palace.
Right, and there's also Beldomen there. He's he's
smuggling in the ice peppers, right?
That's right, but he's also like set up like soup kitchens to help feed the poor because the government's collapsed and there's nobody like taking care of people. Like this is where like if you didn't know, like you find out that Beldomen's like really a good guy, and there's also Egan in there, right?
Yes,
right, and she's spying and trying to find rogue Shanshan that have been left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finds out that demonic that Seldom can channel.
Yes. So there's a lot going on there, as I think we talked about.
I think you said that we could do it in like 2 episodes. I think.
Well, a lot of that stuff you don't really need.
True.
But I said no. I said they don't get to Tanchico until episode 304. So that still gives them a good 5 episodes in Tanchico.
Yeah, no, I'm just busting your chops.
And a lot can happen in 5 episodes.
And we don't. There's no indication that Egan or Egan. I don't know. How do you say her name?
I always said Aegianan.
I say Aegianan.
Aegianan. There's no indication that she's on the show.
No, not at all.
Right, or that the Shanshan are involved in season 3 at all.
Okay, quick question.
No, wait. There is some. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There is some indication that Shanshan are involved in season 3.
What is that?
That the actress who played Rima, is that right? Is in season 3, even though she was collared in a very devastating scene in season 2.
So I mean, she could just be free in the city.
She could just be free, Shanshan. But I'm saying there's an indication
that there could
that Shanshan might be involved in season 3.
So that's the poll I want to put out there. I never put out the poll last week about Kalendor, did I? Jesus Christ. No. Been a busy week. Anyway, the poll I have for this week is, will we see Shanshan in season 3 of The Wheel of Time? I'm going to make a note of that. See, I made a note of it in the other one, and I still didn't do it.
Just put this note next to the other note.
Yeah.
I will do that. I think with the amount of time that takes place between seasons on this show, it would serve them well to have some hint that the Shanshin are not gone in this season. Like, I think you could do a one scene, like, staying somewhere that Soroth is still alive and is amassing an army, and that someone else is coming, to take the head.
So yes?
Like, yeah, I think you could tease the Daughter of the Nine Moons.
Is that a yes?
I'm a yes. I'm a yes on this, Joe.
How about you, Jen? Shanshin in season 3?
I didn't think so, but now I'm changing my mind now.
What about our hot clothes, remember?
Yeah. I forgot. Did I have an idea for the hot clothes?
It's just the same as the hot clothes of season 1.
Yeah, it's hot clothes season 1. They just come back.
Just come back.
I don't know.
They're just in Tanchico Dar now.
Yeah, they're just in Tanchico Dar. Or
another tidal wave. Let's go.
Ibu Chico, which I'm
another tidal wave. Cooladin comes surfing in.
Cooladin comes surfing in. Cooladin is now Shanshin.
He's just taking advantage of the waves, Joe.
It's just taking. Oh wow, that's so weird too. Because he's Aiel, and you wouldn't think he would like the waves.
I know, but
scared of. I guess that's what's so funny about it.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to come across the Dragon Wall to find some gnarly.
That's how he comes across. He comes over the wall.
It's a wave coming. I mean, I think they describe it as a wave coming over the dragon.
True. He just serves the people.
He's crowd surfing.
Crowd surfs in.
That could be like an Aiel thing. They crowd surf during battle.
Oh my god! Why?
They just we need to get one of the warriors up here. They crowd surf him in.
The stone dogs are all in the back because they're so slow.
Yeah.
Surf them up.
Oh, that's good stuff. Anywho, what were we talking about again? I lost track.
Who cares?
I literally don't even know how we got into this. I think you were just talking about how will Tanchico, in general. You were asking about Shanshin, will they be here? But I think in general you're talking about what this will look like on the show. Like, what will Tanchico look like on the show? I think that's where you are.
That's a good question, Tom.
Going around.
I think everything's going to be much less complicated. I think they're going to cut out a lot of that stuff that happens in there. I think they'll focus on the Black Aja. We'll get the Panarch's Palace and the White Cloaks and the showdown at the end. It's interesting because there's almost too much time in the show that I feel like they're going to spend in Tanchico where they're not going to know what to do in Tanchico. Like, we're probably going to get some stuff thrown in there that's not in the books.
Yes, I'd say you're 100% right on that one.
Thanks. I know I was taking a bold
statement.
It's a hot take, right? It's the hottest take around. But we got Matt there too, though. So,
no, man, what? I have no idea.
Here's what I think is going to happen, and I'm making this up as I'm speaking right now.
Let's go for it.
So don't hold me to it. I think we talked a little bit about some out there ideas of how they get to Tanchico, right? They do go back to the tower and then they go to Tanchico. Right. So they're all there looking for the Black Aja, looking for the item of the one power, just like they are in the books. I think the Black Aja are going to be in the palace already. There's going to be White Cloaks. White Cloaks are going to hear that there are Aes Sedai in the Panarch's Palace, and that's kind of going to be the conflict there, and that's how they're going to play up like the big showdown at the end. We're going to see Moghedien, and I think this is what you're going to see, right? You're going to have a whole scene happen, blah, 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 blah. There's Black Aja there, Black Aja there. And then like one of them will say something, or if it's happening in the Panarch's Palace, they'll say something to like the servant, like, and then like the servant turns around and it's Moghedien. And we all know it's Moghedien, but they don't know it's Moghedien. And we're all like, ooh. And that's how episode 3 or 4 ends.
Okay.
To establish that Moghedien's there, and they don't know.
The bangs.
It's the bangs. It's got to be the bangs. I didn't really get very far, so that's as far as I got.
No. I really thought you were going to tell us what Matt was doing in Tanchico.
No, I
other
told
than
you.
just walking around. I guess
I don't know what he does in Tanchico.
Well, that's at the end. Like,
that's like he's gonna meet Illuminators. There's going to be some Illuminator action. He's going to get some of the
hot Illuminator action or just regular.
Hey, they could put in some hot Illuminator action.
Hey, you know what?
There could be a little fireworks between Matt and one of the Illuminators.
Well, he's got to start being a ladies' man. I guess in episode 1 he was. That's pretty much it.
They cut that part out though.
What part?
In the one of the original drafts of the script. Remember the first episode script that we read that was leaked?
I never read it, but
you never read that? There was actually a sex scene between him and Danya in the original in one of the earlier scripts.
I feel it's implied.
It's implied.
And
No,
he
but the
steals,
scene's
steals
actually
her bracelet off the nightstand and leaves.
But there's a descriptive scene of the two of them having sex in that script.
Might have picked that up.
Yeah, which they cut out, obviously. I don't even think they ever filmed it. I think it was just an earlier version of the script. Anyway, what were we talking about again? I lost it again.
I don't know, man. You were trying to tell me that Matt's gonna meet Illuminators.
Oh, that's right.
Have some sort of Illuminator-esque storyline.
Illuminator sex. We're gonna get some Illuminator hot.
And then he's
sex.
going to use some fireworks to break into the palace, find a door, say, "I'm gonna go in here."
Yeah.
And have an adventure.
Maybe not on purpose. He might not purposely go through the door.
Maybe he'll run and hide.
Maybe he overhears people talking about the doorway and what it does. Why does he go through the doorway in the books?
Because he wants to find out what happened to his memory. He knows what it is.
Oh, somebody tells him, right, that there's the...
Egwene, yeah.
Is it Egwene who tells him?
Yeah.
Okay. But they answer your questions, right?
Yeah, and so he goes in to try and find out what happened to him.
That's a good exposition scene for Elaine in the show. She probably could say, "Oh, that's the twisted stone door frame or maybe the Panarch's palace is the home to the Red Arch."
So let me ask, just on this, do you think season 3 is going to, like, as an after effect of what happened to him gaining his past live memories back, he now has holes in his memory that he's trying to fill? Like, is it instead of the dagger, blowing the horn has now put Swiss cheese in his memory that he needs to fill those holes?
They could establish in season 3 that he does have holes in his memory. Although now he's been healed for a while, technically, from the dagger. Maybe he wasn't totally healed. Maybe blowing the horn heals him from the dagger. Like, was the final break from the dagger.
Why does he need to have holes in his memory filled when he remembers all the history? Like, that part happened already.
Yeah,
so if he's going through, it has to be for a different reason.
I agree. I'm just saying that's the thing that generates him going in. That's what makes him a guy who hates magic and doesn't trust it want to use a magical doorway. But it could be anything. I almost kind of like it. If this is what happens, Joe, I almost literally kind of like it like he goes to run and hide from a bunch of white cloaks, and that's the door that he runs into.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right behind another door.
Like
that's the door run through, and you're like,
that's his luck, kind of a thing. It's just like
where he trips and falls through it, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be anything like that. Any one of those. I'll take it. Right. I don't care how he gets in there. I just want him to go.
Put him in.
Just put him in there.
Let's do this, okay? Because now I'm building on your thing, right? What if that's one of the artifacts in the museum? No one uses it.
That's what I said.
Right. No. But when they go there in the dream, right? Remember when they go there, like when Egwene first goes there in the dream, that's when she meets the wise ones and gets told you got to come to Rodian and you've got to be with us. Whatever.
That wasn't at the Stone of Tyr in the heart of the stone. No,
it's the first time she meets her is, I think, in like while she's walking around there, and like someone's like, "Hey, you can't, like, it's dangerous here. There's blood, whatever." And then or she may like run as far away as she can because she's afraid of the Black Alja and ends up in the waste, and that's when she sees a Mies. I'm trying to recall exactly how it happens, but in any case, what if in the dream someone warns someone? That's the most dangerous thing in the world. Don't ever go in there. Right? Like, hey, that's hands off. That never touch that. That's incredibly dangerous. And then at the end, like Matt goes and runs in and you're like, what? Because you know it's bad and he doesn't. And then you find out what
Ooh.
happens when you release.
I thought you were going to say somebody tells him that, and that makes him more curious, and that's the reason why he goes through there.
No, I'm saying like someone tells one of the girls that when they're
Gotcha.
exploring in the dream,
Yeah.
and you don't see it again till Matt runs into it.
That's another one of the audience knows, but the characters don't. I like that.
You see Matt run through something and disappear, and then it just pans back, and you see it was like the twisted
Oh, yeah.
red door frame. No.
I like it. Like I said, I don't really care how he gets in there, as long as he gets in there. That's what I'm really aiming for. That's what I really hope for. I'm really excited to see this set of Tanchico, just because it's one of those, again, like I said before, the city itself is really interesting and it's very unique in the descriptions. And I just remember it so vividly the way Jordan described it. And then also the Panox Palace. It's one of my favorite scenes or sets in the book. So I'm really actually excited to see this. This might be, I'm probably most excited to see Tanchico out of all the storylines in season 3, just because of Tanchico itself, the location. Like, we've already seen the 2 rivers. The waste is just going to be, the waste. It's going to be desert.
Right. It's not visually stunning, really.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is in a way, but like, it's not. A lot of it looks like the rest of it. Like, it's not going to be something that's particularly dynamic visually.
You've seen one grain of sand. You've seen them all. And we've already seen desert in season 2. So, Tanchico.
Right.
It's my vote.
It's where it's at. Dales and chopsticks, baby. Let's go.
There's chopsticks there? I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's where they have the Sursa, I believe they're called.
Sursa. Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking dork.
Hey, man. This is. I got to remember this stuff. It's the only reason I get to stay on the show.
I got to remember Sursa. Gabe, you're a fucking dork, too. No, I'm just kidding. Any thoughts that you wanted to add about Tanchico or Tarabon or Taraboners before we wrap it up?
No, just one quick thing. Tarabon is called Tarabon by Jordan because it is a portmanteau of the Arab one, right? And that's how he remembered which country it was. Right. It's really designed a lot visually and culturally on the Ottoman Empire. Tarabon geographically and culturally, Tanchico rather, on Constantinople, not in any way the way the government's set up, but just the general sense of it.
That makes sense. If you like just thinking about the geography of Constantinople and Turkey, it's kind of similar.
Yep.
The Shadow Coast. So that's cool. Right. I forgot about that. The Arab one, although
there's 2 Arab ones.
Yeah, and they're not shooting it in Northern Africa or the Middle East, but they're shooting it in, which makes sense. You probably didn't want to do that. Jen, anything else before we wrap up here?
I don't think so.
Well, then I would like to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You could follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You could also join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. We also post our episodes on YouTube, so go check out our YouTube page and be sure to like and subscribe. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages as well. You can support us that way. Maybe one day we can live off podcast money, all that sweet podcast money, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Someday.
Not this day.
It is not this day.
It is not this day, nor will it probably be any day ever. Links to all the aforementioned information are included in the show notes to this episode. Tom, say goodbye. Jen, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear us next time.